Today on the Topping Show, federal court rules that the NASDAQ can't force companies to hire DEI for board members and have that requirement. Utah Middle School offers a drawing book to students that instruct them how to draw private parts. 18 years later, a female who accused the Duke Lacrosse team of abusing her admits she made the whole thing up. AOC says we should understand the United Healthcare CEO's killer. Macy's employees hid a $154 million delivery expense, and shareholders still push for the company to split. Hyundai is selling EVs on Amazon.com. Saab production gears for sale 10 plus years after the bankruptcy. And Neftlix offered parents 1 year leave off and it backfired. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's Macy, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, we're still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have a Macy's employee that hid $154 million in delivery expenses, and the shareholders continue to push for the company to be split. Now, this comes as their stock is anemic to say the least. Now, a good rule of thumb is, again, not financial advice, but when you're looking at businesses, you usually want to either at least stay with or keep pace with the S&P 500 average, or, ideally, you outpace them. And if you're looking at a specific business. In this case, yeah, absolutely not. In terms of their 5-year trend, it is quite pathetic. It is technically up by 2.04%. So the company is growing in value by about 2% in the past 5 years. Also known as terrible, and currently trading for $16.54 per share. Now, when we zoom in, that's when it gets more pathetic. 1 year, it's down 16.53%. Year to date is down 17.46%. Now, past month went up by about 8%. So a little bit increase, but yeah, overall, the trend is not looking great for Macy's, which somehow still in business. I don't think I've been there since, when was NSYNC popular? Probably around that time period, my mom took me shopping there. You got shorts or cargo pants, something to that effect. But let's go ahead and dive to the article here. Now, this comes to us thanks to a website called The Street, specifically Fernanda Tronco, who's a writer over there, saying, quote, Macy's sits on gold and shareholders are angry. As Macy's employees make a desperate move and angry shareholders claim the company sits on valuable assets, which, spoiler alert, very, very oddly reminiscent to Sears, which, again, at the end of the day, the most valuable things about the company in terms of, tangible assets were the brands, which they used to own Craftsman, which is a great brand, or was back in the day. And yeah, they subsequently sold that to, I believe, Stanley Black & Decker. And really, as Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, would argue, the land. Because Sears owned all their land, and that's where a lot of the value was. And lo and behold, same with Macy's. And the shareholders want to force the company to split into one company that's solely dedicated to managing and reselling the land, and one that's focused on selling 10 bottles of perfume that they still have left in the warehouse. I'm only partially kidding. I think they sell more than that, but I wouldn't know. I don't go into those stores. I do see the advertisements, though. I know they have big, large bags, and they have perfumes, which, for the life of me, it's almost unfathomable to me how much people waste money on in terms of cosmetics and perfumes, but that's just me. Here you can see it was iconic. I don't know how many gallons of milk you fit in those bags or what they're buying there, but there you can see the iconic Macy's logo. Now, they say, quote, Macy's retail operations are essentially worthless, the company's own shareholders wrote in these harsh words. Macy's has been dealing with multiple blows to its business for years, reporting an ongoing sharp net sales decline since the second quarter of 2022. However, this time the hits have come directly from those within the house, leading Macy's to be featured in a vicious headlines that could potentially damage its business and tarnish its reputation even further, which, yeah, they somehow could go lower. Macy's business has reached an all-time low, leading an employee to make a desperate move, adding false expenses to the company's ledgers. At the same time, shareholders insist that Macy's is sitting on a gold mine, and they claim leadership has no idea how to manage. Now, yeah, this is a pretty big, this is like a little small couple moving a little expenses here and there. Yeah, this is comically bad. Yeah, so Macy's unveils its investigation into 154 million hidden delivery expenses by employee. Macy's announced it would delay its third quarter earnings release due to an active investigation into an employee who intentionally hid 154 million in delivery expenses, which the company discovered while preparing for its upcoming earnings release. Which, talk about a gut in the punch, or almost as if you have ice water pouring on your heart. How horrifying would that be if you work at Macy's? I'm sorry if you do, and you find out, wow, we just made this big of a mistake intentionally, maliciously. I mean, not just physically it's going to hurt the company, but morality. You're hurting the shareholders. I mean, this is going to set grounds. And again, I'm not a legal expert or a financial expert, but this seems like it'd be grounds for shareholders going to be suing them for punitive damages. I mean, you're quite literally messing with the books. This is one of the biggest no-nos ever. Now, they say the investigation revealed that an employee made multiple false entries to hide around 132 million to 154 million in delivery expenses, which began in the fourth quarter in 2021 and ended in the third quarter of 2024. However, Macy's didn't disclose it would press charges against the employee, but assured employees and investors that the person no longer works at the company, which, yeah, that's how messed up the United States is when it comes to litigious things. We should be able to say, again, if they do an investigation, they can prove for a fact, this is, and it sounds like they did, prove that this play did. They should be able to say, oh yeah, this is John Doe. Like, I don't know if you want, maybe they're worried about legal reasons in terms of public backlash or public violence against that individual, but all too often these companies basically just push these things under the rug, and it's just ridiculous. Like, this person they should never have a job again, especially when they're in charge of ledgers or money or anything like that. Like, I would never hire that individual. Now, Macy's CEO Tony Spring says, quote, "We've concluded our investigation and are strengthening our existing controls and implementing additional changes designed to prevent this from happening again and demonstrate our strong commitment to corporate governance," which, yeah, the track record is looking very good in that regard. He continues saying, quote, "Our focus is on ensuring that ethical conduct and integrity are upheld across the entire organization. Despite confirming that," and this goes back to the article, "despite confirming that the former employer's wrongdoings did not impact reported net cash flows, inventories, or vendor payments, and there was no theft, Macy's is revising its past consolidated financial statements that were affected by the mistakes and reflected in delivery expenses, related accrual, and tax effects." Which, not great. It looks like the results are alarming and expected. The sales are down 2.4%, which is still down, but I still can't believe this. I mean, if you're at a bar, which I don't think I've been to in years, but nevertheless, if you're at a coffee shop or a business conference, and someone would ask me, Topping, how much do you think Macy's made last fiscal quarter? I'd say probably, maybe, 900 million, maybe a billion. They made again, it's revenue, not profit, but they made $4.7 billion, which, again, is still more than I mean, that's a lot of crappy perfume and t-shirts and bags. I think they sell this too. I mean, I didn't believe that much. Now they say, quote, "Because the company's business has been struggling with ongoing sales declines, activist shareholders Barrington Capital Corp and Thor Equities LLC are urging Macy's to strategize and consider other restructurings to improve shareholder value. They believe Macy's should form a separate internal real estate subsidiary to better optimize the value potential of its own real estate. That would imply that its retail business operations are essentially worthless, and its real estate is more valuable in its current business," which, yeah. He also noted that in February, Macy announced plans to close 150 stores nationwide and upgrade 350 locations by 2027. However, the activists believe that not all underperforming locations, specifically the company's heralded flagship in New York City, are being identified to maximize value. Now, Macy said in response to the shareholders, "We have consistently demonstrated open-mindedness, including the respect to regularly reviewing the company's strategy and capital allocation framework and exploring all paths to enhance value," which, I mean, I swear they just went to ChatGPT and said, "Make me a political news speak to respond to this question or this accusation," which, I mean, that's one of the most PC corporate sentences I've read in years. Now they say that Macy's outlook did not help ease any shareholders' nerves. It lowered expected full-year profits and now predicts earnings per share of $2.25 to $2.50 per share, compared to its previously predicted $2.34 to $2.69. On the other hand, the company did raise its full-year sales expectations, which we'll see about that. They also know that stock is, as we talked earlier in the segment, stock is continuing to go down, and there's a lot of competitions from Temu, Shein, and all these other apps out there. Other interesting business news, you have Hyundai selling EVs on Amazon. Now, this comes to us thanks to appropriately named Electrek, which makes sense. A plus marketing. You know exactly what their website is going to be all about. Specifically, Peter Johnson, who's right over there. There you can see one of the Hyundais, which I would never buy because it only has 2 pedals and it's electric, but some people do. Now, he says, quote, Hyundai is now selling EVs on Amazon. Here's how you can snag one. Which, to me, looks a little bit too weird and boxy, but to each their own. They say, quote, Hyundai has teamed up with e-commerce giant last year to make buying an electric car as easy as ordering a new t-shirt from Amazon's website. Starting today, you can view, order, and pick up Hyundai's electric cars directly from Amazon for a participating dealer near you. Buying a new vehicle through Amazon Auto Program is as easy as shopping for your next outfit or gaming system. You can search by make, model, trim, color, specific features to browse available inventory at a participating dealer near you. The best part, checkout is through Amazon.com, which, good luck explaining to... Wait a minute. They say it's going to go right through Amazon.com, which... Am I the only one who doesn't have how comically high is someone's credit card limit for them to buy a car, and the bank would allow that to go through without an extra phone call or extra step? How about that'd be the most hilarious credit card fraud? And granted, I don't wish that on my greatest enemy, but yeah. Oh yeah, someone bought a car on your credit card. I'm kidding. Maybe they go into financing. Maybe. Now they say they quote the website. Yeah, they say check it out through Amazon.com. The website we are on. Spending way too much money. You also don't have to deal with annoying dealership experience with transparent, haggle-free pricing. If you have a trade-in, you can quickly get a quote from an independent third party, which you can use towards buying this new vehicle, where when you go to the dealership for pickup, you can then drop off the trade-in. Here you can see one of those Hyundais being charged, ironically, a Tesla charger. They say, quote, Amazon will continue adding more Hyundai dealerships and offer additional brands as it expands in programs next year. Hyundai is already among the top-selling EV makers in the U.S. with long-range, fast-charging models like the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6, and the new 2025 Ioniq 5 and third-row Ioniq 9 launching, which, to me, those are boring names. I don't think anyone's going to remember them. Probably not, but they say Hyundai is posed to see even more demand next year. Here you can see the chart of all, I was about to say cool. Well, not really. All the brands and all the things that you can buy. Let's see here. Starts at $42,500, goes all the way up to the $58,100 before the sales tax. They also note they updated 2025 will have 318 miles of range, fast charging in 20 minutes, 10 to 80%. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes out in execution. Now, I almost debate if this should have been partly business blunder of the day, because again, if Hyundai had a modicum of intelligence, or more accurately, if they had a modicum of technical acumen or skills, they would just put this into their own website like Tesla and the other competitors. I mean, Amazon has a lot of customers, yes, but I can't help but wonder, wouldn't you rather just go to the other one? Why wouldn't you just go to Hyundai's website and figure it out there? So it'll be interesting to see. And again, obviously Amazon is going to be taking their portion. I'm not sure how this is going to work in regard to credit checks and actually going through that process. Assumingly, how is that going to... They don't really elaborate on that. And again, this is one of the most expensive, complex things most people are going to buy in their lifetime. Let me know in the comments. I'm really skeptical to think, how's this process going to work out with all those variables? Unless you have a credit card that has that... I guess the credit card companies would love it if you threw a car on your credit card, especially if you don't pay off the full balance, because that's where they make all their money, so with comically high interest rates. But let me know, how do you think this actually go in terms of execution? And do you think it's worth Hyundai giving up money to put it on the Amazon, as opposed to something like Tesla, where they just do it on their whole, their e-commerce platform? That'll be interesting, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Saab, old production gears for sale 10 plus years later. Now, for those who might not remember, Saab used to be a pretty cool, automotive company. They had pretty unique vehicles, and they used to be all around in the 90s, early 2000s. Unfortunately, like many companies, they were bought by General Motors, which, spoiler alert, they destroyed the company, which is kind of what GM does to most of the brands they buy. And that was one of the companies that, when General Motors went bankrupt in 2009, they decided to kill that brand permanently, along with Pontiac and a couple other ones that people, well, I still loved and some people bought. And a lot of people wonder what's going to happen. Well, Spyker, which makes a beautifully handcrafted vehicle, also known for aerospace, they tried to buy out Saab. Didn't really work out at the end. So a lot of people are wondering what happened to all that. And they kind of forget Saab is still around. Not really in America, but hilariously enough, their whole heritage, it's all about aerospace and defense contracting, which is a hilarious juxtaposition because a lot of people think of automobiles as, civilian grade, because that's what Saab made for the most part in terms of customer, optics. But no, I think it's important to remember how awesome Saab really is. So if you go to Saab.com, you don't see cars, but you see some of the coolest planes. They got submarines, missiles. I mean, they pretty much make everything you could possibly need to take over the world or defend your country, whatever you're thinking about doing. I mean, and the cool thing about, getting these cars was, they brag about having the same engineering capabilities, same engineering resources. You'd be, oh yeah, you have same mechanics and designers that are making these, bulletproof planes. They're also making your car. I mean, it is a very unique, cool value add, but unfortunately it didn't pan out. Let's see, what do they have in terms of land vehicles? Well, there you go. Got tanks, got air to ground or surface, air to surface missiles. Well, there you go. There's a nice looking Saab there. So it is kind of funny to think like this. A lot of Americans don't realize, yeah, Saab the car company, they're gone. Unfortunately, they used to make really cool stuff, but Saab as a business, oh, they are still alive and well. Now, going to the actual article, it comes to us thanks to The Drive, specifically Andrew Collins, who's a writer over there. And he says, quote, "You can buy Saab's old production lines at the Trollhagen factory. It's finally being liquidated. Gigantic presses that help make Saab cars are for sale as the defunct automaker's Swedish factory is liquidated after more than a decade in limbo." Here you can see the cool factory over there. And again, if you have, I would love to have a Saab sign. And obviously, if you watch the show on Rumble or on the YouTube, you can see I collect old defunct business signs behind me for display. I have no idea how you get it from that country to here. But yeah, that sign on that machine, I would love to get that. And I pay 500 fees. Let me know if you somehow come across those. But yeah, look at those giant presses. Now they continue saying, quote, "Saab we knew and loved as cute and quirky car company died in 2011. Since then, there have been a few gasps of hope for its return, but nothing serious even ever materialized. Today, we have a new line item for Swedish automakers' post-mortem history. The Trollhättan Saab factory presses and manufacturing equipment are for sale. Anyone want to buy them and start stamping out 9.3s again?" Which, again, that'd be awesome, but because of government regulations, emissions, all that crap, well, even if you bought this gear, you couldn't make those old cars again. I mean, especially in the U.S. where they hate, they make it very prohibitive to make any car company, let alone if you want to actually make a car that's cheap and affordable. Just not going to happen. Now they say that, quote, "Saab the company is still very much alive and employs 22,000 people selling fighter jets, air weapons systems, and other tools of. I love how they frame this, tools of war. Come on, The Drive. That's a little aggressive. You mean tools of defense? Remember, the best offense is a good defense. Some might say. But I'm not a sports balls coach, so maybe I don't know. Now they say, quote, "The Saab, the automaker, had rough for a ride. It's, well, let's see here. Apologies, I'll top up there. It's really a brilliant brand. It's probably one of the biggest brand mismanagement stories in history of the automotive industry." This according to Tim Urquhart. He was talking about that when the company was collapsing. And here you can see one of the cool advertisements where, you have the Saab jet fighter, the car, and then a commercial plane, all in the same picture. So that looks like that picture is from 1992. Well, 1990 as well, not 1992. I mean, they look really cool. They're pretty neat. I like that kind of stuff. Now, they can see in the quote, "Saab automobiles got scooped up by Chinese-Swedish investment firm called Nevs. And 2013, looks like they might start going again, but only after a couple miles are gone off the assembly line, they shut it down completely." And here you can see more of these presses here. Looks like, can't imagine how much it is to weigh it. Now, the crazy thing is they even have some vintage stuff. They actually show a press from 1969 that would have been used around the same time as the original Saab 95 wagon, which, I almost feel like Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum. I mean, talk about a cool piece of history, and it breaks my heart because I just, it almost seems inevitable with all the government regulations, all this kind of stuff. A lot of these are just going to be turned into scrap metal, which, I mean, geez, just in terms of Swedish history, I think they should at least go to a couple of museums. Hopefully, it doesn't all get sent to the smelter. But yeah, it's interesting. All because again, they were after all the companies trying to buy them, no one could really get it back off the ground. And unfortunately, I mean I mean the gear just started gathering more and more dust. So it'll be interesting to see, does anyone buy them at the end of the day? What do they end up doing with it? Is it just sold for scrap? But unfortunately, again, I'm not a gambling man, but if I were a gambling man, I'd say the odds of those machines being turned on and used again, probably probably 0.00075% approximately. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Part podcast, you have a Utah middle school telling kids about adult content and instructing them to draw it, which this is reason number 9,958,735,403 to homeschool your kids. And for this part of the show, definitely walk the kids out of the room or turn the volume knob a little bit lower, so to say. Now this comes to us, and I'll probably give a visual warning because, yeah, they show the book in here as well. This comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, which she says, quote, discussing Hillside Middle School in Salt Lake, Utah, offers the adult-themed book, Wait, What? To students. This book promotes sexual activities such as, pleasuring yourself, as well, and asks kids to draw their private parts. We asked the school why they're offering this to kids and why they think it's appropriate that they did not return our request for comment, which is that a picture of the teacher too? Oh yeah, there's a Janelle Rodriguez. I don't want to say cliche liberal white gal, but yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, Hillside Middle School. Yeah, no, spoiler alert. Well, visual alert. Yeah, here's a picture of that book. Now, yeah, geez Louise. Yeah, these are the books that leftists want in public schools. And remember, when they say Republicans want to ban books, they want to ban adult-themed books in public schools. Whereas people on the left want to ban, like works of art. This literally has a cartoon platypus. So they even fail. Of all the animated stupid animals they could have put there, they chose the platypus. Of all the ones, just for the pun alone, they should have chosen the beaver. So that's F- for marketing and I mean, just modicum of, how do they fail that? They even failed at the pun. They couldn't do that right. I'm not surprised. Now, next to that cartoon platypus, it says, it's okay to be weird. And it's cartoon, they're cartoon, like, so visually disgusting, I can barely describe it. They're cartoon pictures framed, and they're all different types of genitalia. And on the other page of the book, it says, quote, genitals come in all sorts of different sizes, shapes, and colors. And they have 4 pictures that the genitals they're halfway drawn, and then they have the dots, so you're supposed to connect the dots and finish drawing it. Yeah, this is why you don't send your kid to public school, because, yeah, this disgusting crap. How ridiculous is this? And yet and yet I'm not surprised. I'm only surprised actually that it's in Utah, not San Francisco. I'm pretty sure in San Francisco this would be required part of everyday literature or everyday curriculum, if I were to guess, given the culture in San Francisco. Now, this thing goes viral as I thought it'd go. I thought this gave a couple million hits. I would hope it, but it didn't. Got about 400,000 views and 6.3 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes from Libercat Media TM, who says, quote, why would they? We've got them dead to rights. Sniper. And it's still a picture of a kid throwing up. It says, leave the kids alone, and throw up is in rainbow. Got 262 likes. Texas Family Project says, absolutely insanity. Children should be nowhere near this garbage, getting 23 likes. They gonna lose, says, quote, I've been saying it forever, but this is it. It's a picture of Lenin, and it says, quote, give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I will have sown will never be uprooted. Scary but true, getting 39 likes. Junebug simply says, homeschool your kids, getting 271 likes. Theodore Smith says, quote, homeschool your kids. And then instead of Now That's What I Call Music, which never felt old until I heard like the latest Now That's What You Call Music iteration is like 50 something. And back in my day, like I got the CD, so that says something about my age, and it was Now That's What I Call Music 3. I still remember the front of that CD case. Nevertheless, it's now been photoshopped to say Now That's What I Call Groomer. They got 45 likes. Bruce Blau says, quote, people have to start taking matters in their own hands, pull kids from the public school system, flood them with reporters, and put them on the national spotlight. It'll stop, getting 298 likes. I suspect, again, with Trump getting in office, they'd probably also lose some federal funding as well. Hard to speculate a little bit there. Raymond Baker says, looks what's happening in Washington. And he's responding to someone by the name of Jonathan Cho saying, quote, another assistant principal arrested and charged for the heinous crime of abusing a child, trying to keep it family friendly. How many more abusers or pedos work in the public school system? Getting 76 likes, which, yeah, yet another reason not to trust the government. There's a study, was it like 10 years ago, where they found that there are more abuse instances against children happening in public schools versus the cliche in religious organizations. And yeah, once the government found that out, they decided not to do those studies anymore. Yeah, suspicious. Scrolling down more and more, you have Arita Rose saying, quote, they don't care because they know the kids will be back tomorrow. Until parents pull their kids out and impact funding, they won't need to change anything. But then parents are liable to pull their kids and send them back ASAP. So again, there's no need for real change. Getting 59 likes, and yeah, unfortunately, I think that's true. Unfortunately. Sandus says, why do we have so many pedos in school? Getting 196 likes. Legal Votes Matter says, quote, I can't believe parents would allow their children to expose to such filth, getting 79 likes. Another creepy thing is the teachers' unions who don't want to share the curriculum with parents. Can't help but think, wonder, what are you hiding? Is it just having a modicum of accountability? Which most unions, yes, they do acquiesce from that. But yeah, that's even scarier when they refuse to tell the parents what they're teaching kids. Ryan says these people need to be charged with solicited minors and have their licenses permanently revoked, getting 35 likes, which, yep. Good rule of thumb is if you can't do it in a public park, you should be able to do it in a classroom. Scrolling down more and more. Christine says, why is this individual not in jail? New rule, if you're a pedo, you should be labeled with your crime and the inmates deal with you as they deem fit. And 39 likes, which, yeah, I was going to say, if anything, well, if this was San Francisco, I'd probably give that teacher a raise for teaching this crap. But yeah, why is that person not in jail? It's a good question. Let's see. Masculine Base says, protect kids, not agendas. This is beyond unacceptable. Getting 41 likes. But again, a lot of people are spread thin. I also blame the ineptitudes of corruption in the U.S. government on the left and the right, making it so unbearable so that a lot of families now need a full-time father and mother work in the workplace just to make ends meet. It didn't used to be that way. I mean, one of the many variables would be the government causing ridiculous inflation, making our dollar worth less and less and less. But there was a day when a lot of families could easily make it on a single family income. Nowadays, it's becoming more and more difficult. And that's what makes it even harder to homeschool kids. If I ever have the privilege of having kids in my lifetime, I would like to think I would work twice as hard just so they could be homeschooled if we lived in a district or a county in which the teachers were not that great or moral. But let me know, do you think, again, we did see an increase past couple of years of homeschooling. Do you think you'll see that same increase recently? Do you think the federal government will actually repeal the Department of Education like some speculated that they were? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, 18 years later after the Duke Lacrosse incident in which a female accused the team of abusing her, well, she now admits, oh yeah, turns out she was lying the whole time, which, yep. But remember, the leftists say believe all women, all of them. Ridiculous. It should obviously be on a case-by-case basis. And you know what we should have in the United States? There should be a law in which if you're proven to falsely accuse someone, you should get the same, or no, I think you should get a worse punishment than the original accuser. Because again, these are destroying so many people's lives more often than not men, and there's no redemption. Even if you're the old cliche is, guilty day or guilty page 1 in the New York Times, acquitted or innocent page 25. mean, no one ever reads those stories. It's the negativity and their brand reputation is nearly impossible to salvage. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, "Holy shit, Crystal Magnum just admitted after 18 years that she made up the," again, cover your ear if you have, here's if you have children listening. She admits after 18 years that she made up the rape allegations against the 3 Duke Lacrosse players. She deserves life in prison, which, yeah, I would argue she deserves worse than that. Maybe, I don't know if they really have the instances where you actually manufacture license plates in prisons anymore, but maybe get some labor out of her as well. And this is her.
And I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't.
What a piece of
And that was wrong.
Oh,
And I betrayed the trust of a lot of other people who believed in me. Um, and made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted
jeez.
validation from people and not from God. And that was wrong. And I hope that they can forgive me.
Jeez. What would be an appropriate punishment for her? Send her to Canada? No, I don't know. That's one of the harshest punishments I could think of. Maybe send her to Ukraine for a couple years, or Russia, Siberia, Antarctica. Antarctica might be pretty good. Yeah, and we'll see. Do you think she'll get sent to jail? Do you think she'll ever actually accept responsibility? I mean, ridiculous. Now this one pretty valid. Got 6.7 million views and 82,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Planet of Memes, though I joke, I say alleged Planet of Memes since they did not in fact respond in meme form today. It says, quote, "Fake accusations should definitely be punished," getting 998 likes, which, yeah, they definitely should be. I don't know why they aren't. They should be severely prosecuted, which, ridiculous. Laughing Legend says, "Crystal Magnum finally admits she made it up." And then she says, "Can we finally start addressing the real issue of accountability and justice in such cases?" Getting 281 likes, which, yeah, most of these, in most of these instances, she might be recruited for dodgeball because these gals are extremely proficient at dodging accountability. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure there's like 3 guys that have also done false accusations throughout the couple of decades, but I feel like the volume of instances when it comes to false accusations, overwhelming majority of the time, it is women. Now, the issue is this also makes more and more people question the authenticity of other cases in which they are real. So it also hurts other people in those instances too. This is bad all around. Yeah, Braywolf saying, quote, "Groke says the 3 Duke lacrosse players, David Evans, Colin Finity, and Reggie Sullivan, were falsely accused of abusing her in 2006, and she was a stripper hired to perform at a team party. Here's what unfolded." That's a long summary of the situation. Let me see here. Sure, I'll go with this. So here's a summary of the situation. In initial accusation, Magnum claims she was abused at the party hosted by the lacrosse team on March 13, 2006. The accusations led to a highly publicized case, which drew national attention due to this issues of race, class, and privileges. The players were indicted on charges of, again, cover your ears, rape, sexual offense, and kidnapping. However, the case against them began to unravel due to inconsistencies in Magnum's account and lack of supporting evidence. The DNA evidence did not match any of the 3 players, and there were sufficient issues with the conduct of the investigation by Durham District Attorney Mike Nifong. Yakum in April 2007, all charges against the players were dropped by North Carolina General Roy Cooper, who declared them innocent and victims of a, quote, tragic to rush accused. Nifong was later disbarred and convicted of criminal contempt of his mishandling of the case. The Duke University settled with the players for undisclosed amount each, rumors about $20 million. They also filed lawsuits against Nifong, City of Durham, and the investigation officers. It looks like some of them continued their education. She also faced legal issues unrelated to the Duke case. She was convicted of, 2013, she was convicted of a second-degree murder for stabbing her boyfriend and was sentenced to 14 to 18 years in prison. Should have been another 0 added to those sentences. She has since admitted, according to Post on X, she falsely accused the lacrosse players The impact the case sparked a significant debate on media coverage for how they handle these sexual assault allegations, influencing how such cases are approached in both legal and public spheres. Which, yeah. 698 likes for that one. Scrolling down more and more. Spitfire says she admitted it years ago she's been in a mental institution, getting 703 likes. Junita Broderick says, quote, and E. Jean Carroll should be in her cellmate, getting 5.2 thousand likes. Paul Zuba says life in prison without hesitation, getting 264 likes. So there's a picture of Rosie O'Donnell. Oh wait, no, that's the Predator. So close. Wall Street Apes says picture of the Predator says, quote, wait until everyone hears how E. Jean Carroll did the same thing. And she was the gal who accused Trump of abusing her all those years ago without any evidence. Got 3,000 likes for that one. That Southern Dude says, I'm sure they will try to articulate a reason of why this piece of garbage is a victim, getting 396 likes. Let's see here. Captive Dreamer says, this was purely racial too. They tried to destroy those lacrosse players because they were white and she is black, getting 3.1 thousand likes. Megami, a little disappointed. She says Megami, I would guess her political affiliation, but she does not have the iconic red MAGA hat on. So, a little disappointed. She didn't go all out with the marketing. Nevertheless, she does say, quote, women who make false rape accusations should be prosecuted, getting 144 likes. True. USMC Lady Vet says, quote, prison. She needs to go to prison for the same amount of time each allegation had the accused been found guilty, getting 444 likes. Florida 1 says, there are no words, only a jail cell for the rest of her life. What a shameful person, getting 228 likes. You also have Case Wright saying, quote, time out, she's seeing God and didn't have to do this. We need to look at her with the Christian charity is Christmas. Which, yeah, I understand his perspective. And I have a lot. That's exactly what my family would say, and I don't mean to laugh in terms of mocking. It's just it reminds me of my family because yeah, if you're a very faith-based person, I mean, a big part of faith is forgiving people. So, granted, I would argue that's God's job, not ours. Let's put her in a jail cell. But I'm only partially kidding. With these. I mean, even if she just seems sincere, she did such a horrible crime and tried to destroy their lives so much. And again, they got lucky that those guys were sent to jail for 20 years because it's false accusation. So I've mixed. No, I still think she should be in jail for some time. But let me know your thoughts in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have AOC saying that we should understand the United Healthcare CEO's shooter and killer because it's AOC and, you know, leftists do what leftists do. This comes with thanks to End Wokeness. And here you can see AOC or Donkey. No, it's AOC. And End Wokeness says AOC and CEO Brian Thompson, quote, they say, this is not to say violence is justified, but, which one of my old bosses years ago, maybe a decade plus, he said a lot of silly things, but they're usually a good grain of truth to most stories. One of the things he did say, which oddly enough I think is pretty accurate, he says a lot of people say things, and a good rule of thumb is everything they say before the but is bullshit. Not to be too bombastic, but that's the exact quote. So I think this might be a good use case, so to say. So there's AOC and some type of rudimentary. I mean, that is a ridiculous looking outfit. She looks like she has a turtleneck on, but it's not a tactical turtleneck. It's way too fluffy. It's ridiculous. And she has like a black blazer on, which I thought she was supposed to be good at fashion. Apparently not.
Taken from a diagnosis. And I think that this collective American experience, which is so twisted to have in the wealthiest nation in the world, all of that pain that people have experienced is being concentrated on this event. And it's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims, as an act of violence against them. People go homeless over the financial devastation of a diagnosis that doesn't get addressed, or the amount that they're going to have to cover with a surprise bill and things like that. And when we kind of talk about how systems are violent in this country, in this passive way, our privatized healthcare system is like that for a huge amount of Americans. I mean, I did not have health insurance until I got elected to Congress. When I first ran for Congress, I had to sit in a free clinic while waiting.
Does she not know how to go and buy health insurance? And presumably she made a fair amount of money in tips and was probably not declaring tax on those tips. And yeah, the mental vacuousness of AOC's mind is nearly unparalleled, I would argue. Now, went moderately viral, got about 600,000 views and 4.2 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, AOC needs to be censored for saying this, just saying. Unbelievable, getting 138 likes, which, yeah, I don't know. What is it with leftists trying to make the most evil people like martyrs? They do the same thing with George Floyd, same with Jordan Neely. And George Floyd famously robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint, had a lifetime career of robbing people, taking copious amounts of drugs. And yet they said, oh yeah, he was a hero, great saint to the community. No, absolutely not. Livercrap ETM says, make AOC bartend again, getting 98 likes. 99 likes. Oh, 100, going up like a stock. Chinese Aristotle says, has a picture of AOC, and then the shooter says, I'm not dumb, I just don't understand, getting 21 likes. I am Ken says, quote, so since Congress sent billions to Ukraine while people were dying in North Carolina, by her thinking, by anyone in Congress who would be killed would be justified. Is that right? Getting 41 likes, which, oh yeah, 181 billion plus Biden just greenlit another 50 billion for Ukraine. Yeah, people are homeless and starving in the United States. Every cent of the country's billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. The resource allocation of the U.S. government is criminal. You also have Tim Wattos having a picture of AOC, says, quote, there are people for whom this was deemed worth electing. That should worry you. And 65 likes. Neil Eggers says, quote, they take rejected claims as an act of violence. Does that make it justified? I take actions that people in Congress like her do as acts of violence. Does that mean we can act in the same manner? Uh-oh, getting dangerously close to Fed posting. Getting 32 likes. Which, yeah, she is so mentally vacuous, it's ridiculous. Also, no one's forced to buy United Healthcare insurance. There are other providers out there. Your main employer might give you a discount, or that might be their primary one. But again, you can also boycott them, go shop somewhere else. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And again, the leftists will do anything to justify violence of their people. Random Libs has a picture of Minneapolis, says, we know their record. Says January 6th. Oh, no, wait, my bad. BLM riots of 2020, getting 65 likes. The Tyrant Foe says, their eyes. And it's all the communists with photoshopped, funny-looking eyes that are exactly like AOC's. Getting 50 likes. Now, we'll see if she actually... Well, no, I don't know if she'll actually get any smarter. We'll do one more. Kyle Becker says, this is not just saying violence is justified, but... They continue to say, quote, that butt is carrying a lot of water, kind of like AOC used to do when she was a bartender. And 420 likes. So we'll see how many more leftists excuse the behavior of a killer. But let me know. I mean, I thought they might for New York Minute, I thought they might pull back from their bombastic, calling Trump a Nazi and all that kind of stuff. And using all this violent rhetoric. But it seems like, no, absolutely not. But let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the NASDAQ thing. You have to hire someone diverse. Well, not so much. The federal government just struck that down, but barely. Now, this comes to us thanks to Yahoo Finance. Quote, DEI backlash reached as NASDAQ, as court strikes down diversity rules. Let's see here. There's a picture of Walmart stock going for way lots of monies, which, and not financial advice, hindsight's 2020, wish about that. Now, this is thanks to Alexis. They say, quote, a federal court of appeals struck down NASDAQ's rules designed to encourage more diverse company boards, aka force companies to hire DEI folks. meaning you don't have to necessarily hire the most qualified, you need the most diverse team, which, as you can, probably the best example of this not working is Boeing. Now, they say, quote, the decision was handed down by 9 judges for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, concluded that the Securities and Exchange Commission should not have approved NASDAQ rules in 2021. These rules would have required thousands of companies listed on the tech-heavy exchange to have at least one person who self-identifies as female on the board, which, I mean, how many of those folks have just been smartasses? Or no, I mean, the leftists believe you can identify with whatever you want. Well, I mean, the next day, why don't you just go, oh, yeah, I believe I'm a woman. By the leftist logic, that would have been fine. Now, they say, quote, they had to hire at least one self-identified female on the board or explain why there was not one, along with at least one person who self-identifies as either a racial minority or LGBTQ member. Which, yeah. One way to piss off your leftist friends, just be like, should we have a law that says you have to have someone on the board of directors who's Catholic? They would be so enraged. Their faces would be as red as the communist flags they have in their living rooms. Or, more accurately, the communal spaces, because they don't actually want to own property. Well, they do, but they say they don't. Now they say, quote, this was a first proposal of its kind for a U.S. exchange, and it attracted opposition from conservative groups that challenged the policy in court. Or people who just want, competency to be the biggest parameter of who you hire, not things you can't control. I mean, I'm Cuban. I don't think you should be forced to hire at least one Hispanic person on the board of directors. That's ridiculous. To hire the best man for the job. Now, they say, quote, the 9 appeals judges in the majority who were appointed by Republican presidents found NASDAQ's proposal violated securities law. It also violates the fact that you're supposed to treat everyone equally and not give people preferential treatment based on things they can't control. Now, they say, quote, we hold that the diversity rules cannot be squared with the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Now, this is the scary part. This is only ruled 9-8. But it should have been 17-0. And it was 98. It was 9-8. It was that close. Where they would force businesses to pick people based on the fact that they self-identified as women, which, again, they can't define what a woman is, or they're part of the LGBTQIA plus community. Really. It is so scary that people want to hire people. I mean, I talk to so many people offline. Like, I do the podcast interview show, but is the amount of horror stories you hear offline of people who are put in positions where they're forced to hire people not based on competency, but based on quotas for these things, and the departments struggle and their performance goes down. The number of times that happens is horrifying. Now they say, quote, the SEC, they added, failed to establish that a diverse disclosure rules related to the purpose of the Exchange Act. Yeah, because it doesn't. Which, quote, exists primarily to protect investors and the macroeconomy from speculative, manipulative, and fraudulent practices and promote competition in the market for securities transactions, which, yeah, quite the antithesis. It would do the opposite. It would incentivize companies not to hire the best. They would the biggest issue with all these issues, or all this DEI initiatives, is you're not going to get the best because you're not getting every single resume. You're quite literally discriminating against people by alienating a huge portion of prospective new hires. When again, every smart business would say, yeah, sure, if they're LGBT, whatever they are, I want every single resume. I want to choose the best person for the job, the best man for the job. And yet, these rules are saying, oh no, you have to ignore all these resumes, which inherently means you're not going to get the best because you're alienating prospective people. It's also not fair to those people. Now, they continue saying, quote, the 5 judges who parted ways with the majority said in a dissenting opinion that the court overstepped its authority by imposing policy on private limited liability companies. Yeah. The LCC approved the rule because the reviewing scheme that Congress created didn't permit the SEC to displace NASDAQ's private business judgment informed by investor relations with the agency policy priorities, the deciding judges said. The decision underscores a backlash against diversity-focused initiatives and quote-unquote woke policies that picked up momentum across corporate America in 2024. Walmart last month became the most prominent company yet to scale back the diversity initiatives. Now, Walmart said, quote, they told Yahoo Finance they would ease it using the acronym DEI, no longer participate in the corporate equity rating system created by the Human Rights Campaign, which, again, very reminiscent of political bills. It actually, I would argue, has that, it says a Human Rights Campaign. It's leftist ideology disguising as something that sounds nice, which, very similar to the bills that Democrats and Republicans pass, like the Patriot Act, usually the antithesis of what it actually stands for. Now, they also ended their $100 million Center for Racial Equity that was scheduled to sunset in 2025, which I'm still waiting to see like the ROI or like the use case for BLM and all the money that was raised and all the communities that were fixed and improved. Again, I want communities to get better. I want them to improve. Yeah, all that money, and we didn't see a single instance of that. The self-declared Marxist leaders of BLM bought mansions for themselves and didn't really do much for anyone else, which is an exact use case of Marxism as well, and communism. Like the select few get rich and everyone else suffers. I mean, it hammered. No one should be surprised by that. Now they continue saying, "quote The company said they would also remove merchandise from its stores that includes sexual and transgender products marketed towards children." Again, this is Walmart. Walmart added it would stop using the bullshit term. Oh, that's me adding that. Latinx, which, yeah, my family is not from Cuba. Yeah, no Hispanic person I know of uses that Latinx term. Because again, Hispanic language is inherently gender specific. So anyone who's really Hispanic, they don't do this Latinx crap. It's insultive to the language and the culture, many would argue. Now, Home Depot also joins other companies like Lowe's, Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley Davidson, Jack Daniels, and then with all these other companies that are pulling back from these DEI initiatives. Now, again, this court ruling, it can't be stressed how important it is for not just these businesses' health, but also equality in the United States. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to get a board seat, to get a job. You should not exclude people because of this. Now, it's cliche to say, but some of the people who are pushing for it say they'll make up for equities, or they have good intentions, which is one of the most famous age-old sayings of all time, good intentions, which, again, one of the most prolific, famous counters to that is, you know what wise man once said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I suspect this will be very good for a lot of these businesses, and I'm not sure if they will still be culturally enforced. Now, that would be the interesting thing. So again, legally, they do not need to enforce this. Companies don't need to pick people based on things they cannot control, such as their age, their race, and gender. But culturally, these metrics or parameters or these scores by third-party nonprofits, they still exist. And there are people who shop at businesses partially because of their policies, their politics. Let me know in the comments, do you think, even though the ruling is passed, will businesses continue to put people on the board of directors who may not be the best qualified, but happen to identify these areas? And again, some of them also might be the best qualified. Although, again, if it was forced to choose them, I would argue they wouldn't, because you're inherently alienating people. But do you think the businesses will continue pushing towards that in terms of their board of directors? Let me know your thoughts are, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the UK government arresting a citizen for having the audacity to be, quote, unquote, offensive and post things on the Facebook, which reason number 9,958,735,003 to not live in the UK. There are quite many reasons. There's only like one or two good reasons to be there. It'd be cool to visit to see the Aston Martin factory, sure. What else is the UK known for? James Bond. Oh, no, that's no. What else? Well, what's a reason to go to the UK? Aston Martin. It used to be Jaguar. No one wants to see that factory anymore. Or brand, really. Yep, that's about it. I'm only partially kidding. But yeah, you have no right to no right to self-defense. You really don't have, they have the First Amendment. They obviously don't have the First Amendment. They don't have the Second Amendment. Mostly tyrants and terrible food. Although, perhaps a great place to open a dental business. You might make bank there. Or shillings or galleons, which I'm pretty sure that's their local currency over there. Now, this comes with thanks to Liv's a TikTok, in which she says, quote, arrested for making offensive comments on Facebook. The UK is done. Now, it's also interesting in terms of the UK. Yeah, they arrest people left and right for this, while at the same time letting out, what's a nice way, is no nice way of saying this, abusers out of jail. You're seeing this across Europe as well. It's viscerally disgusting. In Germany, which at least Germany makes good cars, though they're acquiescing to making EVs because the tyrannical globalist and the EU want them to. But they still make the nice Porsche 911, which comes with a stick shift, which is pretty rare, so I appreciate that. But in all seriousness, besides that fact, Germany is letting abusers out of jail and giving harsher punishments to people who post social media things than people. Specifically, there's an instance where a woman was taken advantage of, and then she later posted something about it on social media, and she got in trouble more than the abuser. And it's so viscerally disgusting, morally vacuous. and reason number 9,958,735,023 to not visit Europe in general. Now, again, up to this video here, though interestingly enough, trying to see if she's actually armed. So you have a female police officer. Looks like she does have a body cam on, a little walkie-talkie. Trying to see if she actually has any way to, like, an actual pistol on her, or if she just has a billy club, which I don't even know if they still use that anymore. I am a little disappointed she doesn't have a pointy hat on, but nevertheless, we'll see what she has to say. So it looks like she's coming to this person's house too.
The time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronic communications network. Under
What?
127 of the Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that it may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, subject to later or in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested.
going to be arrested, okay?
Right,
So you
and
got to the police station.
Now, she's also a pretty petite gal. I mean, also she's leading up to the police department. I mean, wouldn't you be worried in this situation if a civilian were to get violent? I know they're pretty much neutered over there in terms of civilians there, unfortunately, but this doesn't seem like a safe situation to put this female police officer in as well. Again, if this person has modicum of a muscle mass, I mean, they might tumble her over. But that's besides the point.
right.
Okay, this is in relation.
Oh, she's also, how dumb is she? I mean, she's blonde, which, again, there's that old adage that blondes are dumb. They're not. AOC broke that myth or broke that stereotype. I give AOC credit for that. But in terms of being foolish, she's standing in front of this individual with her hands in her pockets, which, I mean, anyone with a modicum of intelligence would tell you that's not smart when you should be ready to fight. Presumably, she's about to arrest this individual. She should be using handcuffs or something to restrain them, maybe. And yet she has her hands in her pockets. So if they were to, and this appears this person is sitting down, or maybe they're just, you know, height, what do you call it? What's the nice way of saying this? They're height disadvantageous, which, yeah, some of us are. But yeah, why would you have your hands in your pockets if you're a police officer? That's the most untactical. I mean, you just push them over and you fall flat on your face or your back. You're not ready. You're not prepared.
To some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets, Thomas?
Again, this is what would happen in the United States if Kamala won. Never forget, Tim Walz publicly said, oh yeah, the First Amendment doesn't apply to disinformation or hate speech, which of course they define. And of course, hate speech is just speech that they hate. Yeah, thank God Trump won.
I've got my keys. I got... No, that's about it, I think. Keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of the Police and Criminal Act.
Right.
And that's for dangerous items.
Oh, I guess it was a male officer. Bail made, or yeah, definitely a beta male, I believe is what they call. But yeah, they got a guy next to her as well, and they're putting on gloves.
Hey, I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under some what information? I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Made some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's transferred.
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so,
Okay.
what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
The UK has fallen. Yeah, and why do we do business with the UK? Again, I think we should do businesses with companies that share our values and morals. I mean, Trump should say day one, no more business in the UK. You can keep your Aston Martins. They're unreliable. We appreciate the stick shift. But before you respect your civilians' rights, we're not working with you. We're going to tariff the shit out of you. 5 million%. You can still trade, yes. But 5 million% on all your shitty food and James Bond films. Which, I'm kidding, James Bond films are made in Hollywood. But still, we're going to make no more illegals from the UK. Specifically, no more Daniel Craig. He's insufferable now. Kidding, I know he has been James Bond for a while, but yeah, that is so disgusting. And yep, UK has fallen. Arresting a gentleman, or I think in this case they would call him a bloke, for a Facebook post. And again, I know in terms of the US, there's limitations. You can't give an articulate threat on the Facebook. So if you say you're going to hurt this person at this time, yeah, you can't do that. That is violence. I understand that. But if you're just being bombastic or in poor taste, that's still protected under the First Amendment. So again, thank God we have the Bill of Rights and Constitution of the United States. People don't realize how rare that is. It's the only reason we haven't been completely, it's the only reason we haven't been completely disarmed as well as censored. And even with the bill, even with that, you have leftists that have unfortunately disarmed us from owning certain weapons, which is disgusting. And yeah, this is, again, it also shows how weak the people of the UK are. This would not happen in Texas. It might happen in California. They would applaud this actually because they love censorship and they love having all control. But this is so, and it sounds like a guy sitting down as being an older gentleman. It's just, yeah, this is so disgusting. It's beyond belief. And it went pretty well. It got 5.2 million views and 53,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, says, America would have suffered the same fate under Democrat president. Trump took that away from them, getting 8.8 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says, arrested for making a Facebook post, the UK has no chance if free speech is squashed like this, getting 600 likes, which, again, most countries on the planet don't have free speech guaranteed to their civilians. Again, it's such a rare, beautiful thing we have in the United States. Never take it for granted, ever. You have a comic strip from Libercat Media TM says, the UK hasn't fallen, it fell. And there's a giant bodybuilder guy sitting next to a nerdy guy in a jail cell. The big guy goes, what are you in jail for? And the little guy says, I made a meme. And the big guy rushes away. Got 538 likes. Going down more and more. Exemplier has pictured the United States flag as well as the communist flag of the UK. They call it the Jack. And it says the different words translated. In the United States, we have trucks. They have a lorry. We have fries. They have chips. We have diaper. They have nappy. We have elevator. They have lift. We have free speech. They have jail time. Yep. We also have the self-defense, thank God. I got 125 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Robert Preston says, the Brits gave up their guns, and now the government puts them in jail for posting Facebook memes. Getting 2.5 thousand likes, which, yet another reason to never give up your guns, ever. Jacob, interestingly enough, spelled Jacub, has 3 doors and a police officer standing in front of them. The 3 doors are labeled 1, stab several people. 2, try to keep this segment moderately family friendly. 2, abuse young girls in the adult way. And 3, criticize immigrants on Facebook. And the police officer, punches down that 3rd door. I got 3.5 thousand likes. Scott Parker says, it's a Jim from The Office meme where he points to the whiteboard. Says, if you allow the government to break the law during emergencies, they will create emergencies to break the law. Getting 94 likes and fact check true. One more. The Emergent Perspective says, I believe this is the correct response. There's an old painting of George Washington facing those lobsters, which old pejorative term for the Brits, and because they had red jackets, also called red coats pejoratively. And the UK says, think before. Again, this is from their UK X Twitter account, where they also said, think before you post. And you have Washington saying F off. They have 1.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, that is probably the most, I do believe that is the most appropriate response to that situation. But yeah, let me know, do you think any other country will actually bolster the civilians to have the free speech? Do you think anyone will actually rebel in the UK? Will they have peaceful protests or vote people into office or do anything to make sure they actually get their rights back? I'm a little skeptical, but let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Neftlix offered parents 1 year paid time off, and now they're taken away and kind of backfired. Now, this comes to us thanks to Meredith Clark, who's a writer at The Independent. They say, Netflix walking back generous parental leave policy after too many workers take a full year off. Some Netflix employees accuse the streamer of, quote, targeting employees on paid parental leave during recent layoffs, which, yeah, it's also one of those things where, yeah, you can't lose money that long. Some might argue it's an investment. I understand perspective, but yeah, you offer this ridiculously good policy, this almost comically good program. Of course, people are going to abuse it. And of course, you have about over 10,000 employees now. That adds up in the aggregate, and you have to function as a business. Which again, wise man once said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I've seen this in a tech company. I used to work at Hewlett Packard Enterprise way back in the day, and they had a program, they still have it, where, oh yeah, if you have a kid, you have 6 months paid time off, which again, that's a good thing to offer your employees. However, they didn't think it through, because I've had instances where there's been full-blown departments where there's one person working doing 5 people's jobs, because I forget the psychological phenomenon, but fascinatingly enough, that single department had like 4 gals and one dad. They have all left for parental leave at the same time. And again, leaves a bottleneck to the business, and they didn't move people around. So you're inconveniencing customers, vendors, suppliers, partners, because now you don't have the right team, and you didn't properly calculate all that's going to happen, and now no one's happy. Now, diving into the specifics of the article, they say, quote, Netflix, once touted as one of the most generous family policies in corporate America, Netflix began offering even more ridiculous, unlimited parental leave to employees during the first year of child's birth in 2015. However, they are walking back their policies. Netflix has expanded rapidly and has approximately 14,000 employees, more than 60% jump prior to the pandemic. The company has since removed the free and responsibility section of its founding culture memo, according to the Wall Street Journal. As a result, current and former employees say the unlimited parental leave policy is no longer a priority for the company. And they say, this is Clara Guimarães is a former Brazil-based production employee for Netflix, says, quote, Netflix has always had a different approach from other companies in that they are important for employees to be with their babies. Now it feels like more what the business needs or what the parent needs. Now, they say in October, Netflix removed the information in the workplace culture section on this website. They stated new parents can generally take 4 to 8 months off for parental leave. And in this specific place, they didn't leave a specific note. And yeah, it's another thing where, again, large companies like Alphabet and Google, they could afford this. Netflix, the streaming wars are heating up. I don't know how long they can sustain this practice. I suspect that's why they're starting to withdraw this policy. We're having this huge backlash. So the business blunder is almost on twofold. So one, you promise something great. And again, if you have the money and the profit margin to sustain a business where you can have a year paid time off, if the person you're giving to is a moral, good person, and I think they will remember that, and they'll have a loyal employee for life. And that is a mutual beneficial relationship. That'll work. That could be a sustainable business model. Now, tech, a little bit more, there's a lot of jumping around, and there's a lot of poaching from competitors. So you might not have that loyalty anymore. And it's one of those things where I think we're going to have hard times in terms of Netflix, because they have competition now with Disney, which merged with, when they bought out the remaining assets of Hulu. And you also have Amazon. I think there'll be increasing competition for Netflix. And now, again, they promised something great, but now they're pulling it back. This makes them look terrible. The optics are god awful. And again, it's one of those things where if you just logged on and worked, like, I think if you had an instance where if they just had to work 1 hour per day, maybe 6 months off would be sustainable from a business perspective. But even then, you got to be careful, because again, they promised something great and they're pulling it back. And of course, online, half the comments are just viscerally roasting Netflix, and you don't look good. So I think it's hard to calculate long-term benefits, long-term cost. But when you're making these great offers to employees, you really have to think long-term. How long do you want this policy to be? And what is the cost of the business and cost of the customer in terms of, well, is there a decrease in quality and any decrease, not just production quality, but streaming? I mean, they've all said outages recently. That doesn't help. That doesn't make Netflix look good. I gotta say, Netflix offering, the world and then pulling it away. Gotta say that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.